What's up, my
And we
brother?
are live. What's good, guys? So, right now, I would like to welcome everyone joining us live on Twitter, live on YouTube. Right now, we got comments open. Uh, more than happy to accept any questions, comments, whatever you want to throw at us. We're more than happy to dig and dive in. That's what we're here for. Let's hash it out. So Johnny Law may step in a little later. He's got some family that's come in. But on the screen we got Javier, we got Clint Westwood, we got Steak, we got Blind Dave Crypto. I want to welcome y'all and enjoy. We got some news coming up. So first, a congratulations I would like to say for anyone in XRP as well as XLM
Yeah.
because XLM is a fork of XRP and with 50 or half of the mining supply. So what happened for XRP today could also be related to XLM. So, the price reflects it. So welcome, y'all. What we got on tap for today?
You're gonna make me
Oh, I
want to
got
drink.
plenty.
Now stop.
Yeah. Well, just pour one, Clint.
I
What do you
know.
got? What do you got?
I got everything. That's the problem. I got too many choices. That's my problem. I don't know what to drink. I usually don't drink until Friday when we do the happy hour show, but I don't know. It's hot
So you're
out.
you're well diversified in drinks.
Yeah, I can. Whatever it is, all you gotta do
Let's
is put it in a glass.
let's go up one of your alleys, Clint. What about that silver? Silver right now showing almost at $25 right now. What's your
Yeah,
thoughts, my brother?
yeah, flexing a little bit. It's about time. Wake me up when it's about 100. Come on.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
tired of playing these games. Let's.
I'm with you, my brother. I'm with you.
You know what
I've
though?
done that.
Yeah, I know. We waited and waited and waited, and I mean, we saw it go to $50 back in 2010 or 11. We thought, okay, this is it now. Knock it down for another 13 years. Holy cow! The thing is, it's it to me. The vibe I get though, it's funny you mentioned that because I see the silver moving a little bit. I mean, that's a highly controlled market. Now we see the XRP thing released, which is a positive thing for crypto. I think. I don't know. There's just a different energy out there. Maybe some things are starting to break loose or are being allowed to move forward. I don't know, however you look at it, but I think they got a different feel going now. I think maybe we're transitioning into something.
I
Hmm.
would say.
You think?
Yeah, no, I'm seeing that. I'm seeing, I guess, I'm following the people that are still into the precious metals and basically saying that this is coming from the BRICS nations looking to go into gold for, for securing the money. In other words, going back to the gold standard. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
My thought is I would reflect back to the video that I did a few days ago with Steak. Wasn't a live stream, but just put that out. There was a lot of key information in there about bricks. So, not with metals, but dealing with crypto, CHIPS Act, that sort of stuff, to where we can control the the production. So I would I would urge everyone to catch up with that on the CHIPS Act. It's mighty funny. We dive into regulation and legislation coming, and we found a few nuggets, and we're here to share a lot of that with y'all. So,
Well, this could be the time because I'm the guy that's tired of them crying wolf, and so it may be the time that actually we get the move up as Bix and everybody, the people, David Morgan, all the people that are into the metals are. I'm there. I've waited so long that it's that moment where I'm like, yeah, 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 let
Wake
it
me up.
go
Wake
up.
me up when it's 100, would you?
Yeah, let
Come
me.
on.
You know what? I'm happy at 50 at the
I know.
all-time high.
That's
I've
good.
always questioned that. I'm like, everything's gone up, price of eggs, everything, cars, houses, yet silver is half the all-time high. And I know people go, "Oh, it's because Hunt Brothers were trying to corner the market." But if you look a little deeper, they bought that silver fair and square. Um, it's just the news that came out was they were trying to corner the market, and I guess it worked at the time. But interesting.
Got to have a narrative. Yeah, it makes you think. When you really look at what's the real importance of silver, and you look through history and what it's, especially now. I mean, the industrial, or I should say, the technological age. What the usefulness of it is. So if you're in control of the game and you don't want the monetary system to fall apart, I'm just theorizing here. You might want to control something like that because it's a very valuable thing. I mean, if you let that thing run and you got a lot of people coming in and just saying, "Hey, we're going to take possession. We're going to take possession." See, that's the thing. Why don't people take possession? It tells me it's controlled. They're telling these big players, "Hey, listen, back off." They get a visit, they get a talking to, because why wouldn't you, if you had a lot of money, be investing in silver? I mean, if you're a multi-billionaire or something, Elon Musk building cars, why wouldn't you be front running that game and having warehouses full of silver? Because you need it.
I've got an answer, because you need that warehouse full of silver, and I think you let other people know it. Dave and I have talked about it, and we kind of went into it a little bit. And it's not that I like paper silver, but if you're the ones setting up the game, and when the song stops while you're playing the musical chairs, why not play the paper market?
Well, with the paper market, you don't have the, how do you say, the premium. So the premium when you buy as well as the premium when you sell. So like whether it's silver or gold. But my only thing is I've been stacking metals for many, many, many years. And my thing is that I saw crypto as something completely different, another means that I could invest. However, my thing is, though, silver, silver, silver. Look, I get it. My thing is, I already have enough silver. So,
How much do you need?
Well, that's just it. I mean, $100,000 is a couple monster boxes, and try, just try to carry, 6 monster boxes, 5.
I think we did the math on it.
Down, man. I wouldn't be able to carry him in the digibug, man.
I think we did the math on that, Dave. The math was 1,000 ounces was like 68 or 88 pounds.
No,
82 pounds.
I put 2 monster boxes on top of each other. I took a picture of it. It was like 82 or 88 pounds.
Yeah, I couldn't remember, but
it's like, and that's only what, 40 grand, if that. Yeah, 40 grand roughly.
Less than that, really. It's probably about, the Eagles are probably around 18, 19. Well, it's up a little bit. Yeah, you're probably right. Closer to 40 grand right now.
You know what?
Well, they were also key years. So the monster box of the 2020 and then the 2021 Type 1 before the new change into the Type 2 Silver Eagles. But yeah, I mean, so that one, those are worth a little bit more, I guess, for the numerology of the 2020. But more so, the 2021 Type 1 was the very last. So it's like, I got to get a monster box of that. Yeah. But that's my thing. It's like, that's 88 pounds. Try carrying that on your shoulder 5 miles to the local coin shop. It's just like,
don't worry, Dave, I'll help.
Yeah.
But I mean, $100,000, you can't carry 100 grand. Yeah, you can't carry 100 grand in silver. But yet I could have a few, less, 20, no, it'd be 50 ounces of gold. So 2.5 tubes of gold.
You could.
You could. Goes away though when you got $1,000 silver.
I'm not into rare metals, but isn't this like a use case for crypto?
I was going to ask you, Steak, what's I know that you may or may not, but you're younger than us, I think, too. What's the deal in Europe? What is metals to you coming from the Netherlands? Here, there's a few people that are very, very into it. The ones that are like us will always be into it. And then you have people that will trade a candy bar for a 100-ounce bar of silver. They just don't
Oh,
know what the hell it's worth.
well, it's one of those things and journeys in life that we all have a different starting point and a different moment in our life where you got your finances in order and you got a little bit extra and you can start investing. So I haven't just touched on it yet, and I like to invest in things that I know a little bit about. So it's a chapter that I've yet to read up on, but I'm definitely interested, and I will definitely touch upon it from a diversification point of view, not just silver, but other rare metals as well, of course. But I haven't yet. That's the honest opinion, and
Okay.
I will.
No, it's a
But
fair.
I've just been busy. Um,
It
yeah,
is a
so
great. Here's what we know about it. It's a great, one of the best conductors of electricity. We know that it's an antimicrobial. I don't know if it's a uh,
Antibacterial as well.
yeah, just
antibacterial as
just like
well.
gold. Yeah, yeah,
And so that's the importance of it. It offers a lot. What we have been given, or the information is, hey, we need it for those windmills, for our bombs, for the solar, and
But
so we
but
could see
also
the demand. But right now, and I was going to ask Clint and and Blind Dave, you know what? Okay, I see huge premiums on that 1 ounce Eagle, but on a 100 ounce bar, I think you're paying, I don't know, a dollar, $1.50, and so I know we're not there because there is no premium on the bigger supplies. And if silver is silver, and we're into it because it's a rare commodity, then
yeah, yeah, yeah.
either
But I
either it's
kind of
rare for
agree.
all of it.
I kind of
Go ahead.
agree with what Clint said earlier, in regards to things seem to be moving, not just in silver, but everywhere.
Everywhere.
So, yeah, it's definitely part of it. So it's a part of the market that's very interesting, and I fully agree with everything you say. Like it makes sense, but there's much more to it when you start investing, right? It's knowing when, knowing where, knowing how, uh, and I like to read up on things before I go into it. But yeah, I see the use case. I mean, the use case pretty obvious. It's
I
well,
think we all got into it just to hedge, the money, because we all knew the or
sure.
according to me talking to Dave and to Clint, we kind of knew that the dollar wasn't being backed, especially once crypto came up. It was very, very obvious that,
Yeah, that caught my
all of a
interest.
sudden the dollar, we would print more dollars, yet Bitcoin didn't move up or down. And
Well,
so, go ahead.
yeah, I've always looked at like gold instead of silver, and I've seen the price. It of course there's price movement, but it's not as volatile as it is in crypto. So I just saw more opportunity there to start there, and yeah, I don't regret it, to be honest. But
well, I saw it as a different
that's my
vehicle.
opinion on it, Javier.
Hmm.
My
Right.
And I
my
want to say
my
I like your
opinion
glasses, Dave.
was that
I like your glasses. Why did you take them off?
because I was trying to do something else. There was something wrong with the stream on Twitter, so I don't know what's going on.
Oh,
My Gmail was
are we casting?
hacked, so I
Ah,
started a new Twitter and a new Gmail, and so I tried to. This was supposed to broadcast live to YouTube and Twitter simulcast, but no. What y'all are saying, what I did was a little different. I used gold and silver as more of a different vehicle. Um, what I did was I took profit from crypto and I went looking for another asset to invest in, a true asset. Because a lot of people will say that a house property is an asset, which I disagree with. Property is a liability until it is paid in full. So what I did was with crypto, I took that and I did improve my house. I'm still working on it. A lot of stuff is going on. But what I also did was all the money that I calculated out how much was my dollar cost average over those 5, 6 years, 2014 through 2020 in crypto. And I figured out how much I invested into crypto and I withdrew all of that. And also, isn't it funny that these other metals dealers and all do accept crypto? And now, maybe Who knows, right? Maybe a little XRP on the side, right? And
Well, here
I'm wearing this shirt in celebration of XRP.
I have something for
Just-
Clint right quick.
Yeah.
Because
Can we talk on XRP at some point? Because I'm
yes,
dying
and
to
you know
talk.
what? I'm ready to ask you something on this. But let me just shut this out with you know what? Even Clint, and we paid for it. There were, you know, in some cases there were taxes or not taxes, or I don't know. But it's a way of him to be able to transfer his wealth to the next generation without it be. Is it the new fiat? Is it the new way that, you know what? Here's I think Clint has two coins, one for each of his daughters, and goes, here's one and here's one. And now he's transferred a sort of wealth to that next generation without everybody knowing everybody's business. And not that he's doing anything wrong. He paid for it, he worked for it, he's done everything. Now all of a sudden there could be difficulties because it's not an eagle and it's a Canadian maple leaf. Go ahead and can you elaborate on that, Clint?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it. It's like anything else. You know, you want to be able to have something, really a store of value. That's why I got into silver and crypto. You know, I want some sort of store of value, something that's going to hold the energy. And so, one of my big things is, I got a couple of daughters. You know, I want to make sure that I can give them something that is liquid enough that they can do what they want to do with it. You know, because I mean, like Dave's talking about with property, you know, and here I am, I have property, I'm building this and that.
21 grand in air conditioning.
Exactly. I mean, it is a liability. I mean, it's the most illiquid thing you've got too, because good luck. Oh, my property went up this much. It's worth $1 million, $2 million, you know, this and that, all the people, you know, but okay, now you got to sell it. And then you got to go through that process. That's going to take you 30 days, 45 days, maybe longer. Who knows? It's not a liquid asset. And you know, it can't be a burden to somebody else, you know, down the road. Because if you leave the place in shambles, you got all your junk, you know, and you pass away and you leave it to your kids and let them do it. It's like, what am I going to do with all this crap? You know, how do I even start? You know, and you kind of disrupt it. It's much easier for me, I think, to give them something that, hey, listen, you got money that you can take anywhere in the world. You're not tied here. You know, I'm not saying that, well, you need to, you know, manage the estate, you know, and pass it down like, you know, generations have done. It's like, no, I mean, you money we have to go anywhere you want with crypto and live anywhere you want, and, you know, and basically any way you want. And silver the same way. It's like, hey, you know, you hand it to them. Nobody else needs to know this stuff. It should be the same way with crypto. That's why I like Mimble, Wimble, and Litecoin. I mean, you've got the ability to say, listen, I work for this. It's my energy. I'm putting my energy into this. And guess what? When my energy's gone, when I'm not here anymore, here you go. Go
Yeah,
live,
good,
be free.
good answer. Like I said, great answer, Clint. Let's bring it down. I don't want to take all this time since I know Steak may be in here for a limited time. But let me ask
Talk
you this.
XRP in a little bit, right?
Yeah, XRP. And when I say XRP, I own XRP. I don't know much about it. It's a coin that, you know, it's one of my hedges. It's one of my risk to reward. So when I say XRP, Ripple, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or anything else. But this ruling, how does it affect the secondary market, and or does it?
I think it just gave us another signal of the next run, which actually
Yeah,
I
I
was
kind of
tying
agree
that
there.
into November through February as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so
fully
in
agree there.
the secondary market, there's other coins. Let's break it down a little
Yeah,
further.
yeah. Well, this lawsuit, maybe we can touch on that a little bit. I think that would be something interesting we can bring to the table, is it
Hmm.
has ramifications for other things. And you know, everyone rightfully so is talking about the big green dildo of XRP that blew up some of the exchanges that went offline because you couldn't log in. Yeah, it was great. You know, they got their flowers. They've been going at each other on social media, on spaces. I was in XRP communities almost daily for the last couple of 1.5 years. And, you know, these guys been going at it like, is it a security? Isn't it? Is it a Bitcoin maxi that's coming in and disrupting the place and getting everyone agitated? And, you know, today it was just all euphoria. You know, everyone that was only a little bit negative was like, shut the fuck up, we're partying. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you know, you got to give them to that. I mean, it's great to see. They've been waiting for a long time,
Yeah.
and
And I don't think it's
really,
over.
really
I
long
haven't
time.
cashed out. It's
No,
a
I agree.
serious enough course to go. We're
Yeah,
going places,
Well,
and I'm holding.
me
I've
too.
set my
I've got a bag.
numbers.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
got a small bag,
it's
small bag of XRP. Luckily, I bought it last week as well, so that was a good move. But it's interesting. Look, I've I've touched with Dave uh, on the privacy shield agreement between the EU and the US, and that was something they've been going back and forth with each other, the EU and the US, since 2013, and they couldn't get it resolved, getting a trade treaty going, and they basically let it die out in 2016 because it constantly got shut down by an Austrian fella named Max Schrems, who basically blew holes in the European Commission's privacy problems, so it got shut down continuously. And now they started to just, did a rule by decree in the European Commission. They basically said, we're not going to vote on it, we're just going to pass it. That was a few days ago. And basically, what it does, it opens up a market that there is a free flow, a transatlantic data flow is the marketing term they use. It basically creates $7 billion business of digital commerce between the US and EU, because social media companies predominantly can now safely have a legal framework on how to operate with privacy of their users' data. So if there's EU data in the US, it's no longer a liability. So this lawsuit that Meta has or that Google had, they're all off the table. So that's pretty big. We haven't heard about it, obviously, but we had the U.S. moving forward in other areas with regards to uh, citizens' data. The XRP court case, I believe, is one of them, because now it's ruled as not a security. So what is it? Well, it's also not a commodity. So what is it? Because in the U.S., it's either a security or a commodity. The U.S. law doesn't account for something that the EU law does do, which is a utility. So are we going to get a utility asset in the US? Now that's interesting for all the bankers, because all of a sudden you get a new lane, you get a new asset class, you got all the banks in on it. I mean, how many agreements does XRP have with banks, predominantly in the West, but also in Korea and Japan? They've yet to wake up.
yeah,
So this
yeah,
shit is going to blow up.
over
More,
350.
yeah.
and
Over
more
350
money is going to
financial
come in, and
institutions.
that's a domino effect, Dave. I mean, you're going to get a few people, not in the weekend, but maybe tomorrow, Friday, maybe on Monday, that are going to
Monday.
say, well, if
Monday
so
through
and so went, yeah,
next week.
exactly.
Next
if
week.
if
And it
for
also
example,
involves the XLM, doesn't it? I
sure,
mean,
sure,
it's
sure. But
just
I'm just
the
going to
younger
focus a little
brother.
bit on Ripple because of the context that they have. But if one bank is going in, the other bank is going in, and then the other bank is going in, and then the other bank is going in. No one wants to be left out of that pool of liquidity. So it's just going to be a domino effect. And because that regulatory clearance has been given by a judge on a judicial notice, that's really, really big. Really, really big. And then one other thing that was really big is that it basically ruled out the SEC from being the client that enforces exchanges, and it turned that to the CFTC. That's a pretty big one that
I
hardly
think
That's a
anyone
that's the
talks
very
about.
biggest thing here.
And then
That's
there's
I
another,
feel.
and
Go
then
ahead.
there's other tokens and or well, commodities, at least call it blockchain projects, that are also eyeing to be a utility. Yeah, we haven't heard anything about maybe going back to the library court case, to the Dragon Chain court case, maybe go back to Veritasium and IP infringement. That's all part of that whole commerce framework as well. IP patents. That's going to be an angle that can now be played. That's now gonna be on the table, and it's moving fast. I think this is the start of the bull run. It's the actual start of the altcoin bull run. XRP just called it, not Ethereum, not Litecoin. I'm sorry, but XRP just, they took
Oh,
the
you're right. I
gunshot. They
agree.
started running, and kudos to them. A lot of money is coming into the space. It's going to go to other projects as well, because different blockchains have different use cases, and it's necessary as well. So the money is just going to come and flow in, and it's making me happy. And a wise man once said, well, sometimes you got to smell the roses and lick your ice cream. So I'm just lighting up a joint right now and saying, fuck
Yeah,
that. I shouldn't be doing it. I shouldn't be doing it because I'm busy as fuck, but I'm just euphoric. I'm happy. you know,
Hey,
and
Clint
I'm
Westwood
happy
with
with
the
the
cigars, and
ramifications. Yeah, he's got quite some
others
liquidity
with
there.
tequila, and some Dave with I don't know, letting the sugar
Dave
go
with the hot
low.
tub. Dave with
Yeah,
the hot tub. He's
yeah,
used to
in the
jacuzzi.
hot tub. So we all have that. Well, let's go there a little bit.
Let's go
We're
there.
talking about a little bit of patents. We're talking about you
Oh,
posted
I can
something
touch on
today
a
on
lot more
Craig
things,
Wright.
man. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
ready to
that
piss
too.
off some Bitcoin maxis and some other people, and my thoughts on Craig Wright.
You're
Wrong,
wrong.
right, or anybody else. I mentioned it last time
Let's
with
call him correct.
is Alexander Bell, the guy who invented or the one that patented the telephone. He may not have invented it, but he patented it, and so now we're talking about him being Satoshi, not Satoshi. Whether it is or isn't, his value comes from his patents, and if he can cock block Bitcoin from advancing, or and I don't know that he can. I'm just giving you my messed up way of thinking.
Well,
Um, Go ahead.
Javier, he owns a company called Nchain, and Nchain has yeah, last year they had 3,000, now they have around 4,000 patents.
Yeah,
And I always say, if you throw shit against the wall, something will stick.
something will
That's the
stick. I
tactic. That's
agree.
the
I mean,
tactic they go for. I mean, I'm a little bit blunt here, but sorry, that is what they're doing. Many of the patents are stupid if you look at it, but there are a fair few that has some meat on the bones. You're
yeah,
gonna have to be very honest about that. So even if it's just one that sticks out of 4,000, and I think it will be a lot more than one, there's a use case there, and that use case translate. How do you say? That use case ultimately results or translates into a use case for BSV. So, uh,
yeah.
yeah,
I
will it take
follow.
that away from Bitcoin? I don't know. I think it's still a store of value, but I think it's most predominantly saying, well, this is a player in the market. This is a player in the market.
Yeah,
Player
I
is king.
totally agree, and that's where doing your homework and understanding that Bitcoin Cash guy Jesus and him worked together and they broke away, and I don't understand. I've dabbled in a little of both of them because I'm hedging my bets. I'm realizing the risk to reward, and I follow a guy Reggie Middleton, and he had also mentioned, you know what? Patents are coming up, and I understand that because we mentioned it last week. The banks have a great deal of patents in the banking systems for cryptos. They may be giving a facade that, well, we're barely getting into it and we're barely understanding this. They understand the game extremely well. If you follow the patents, follow who has the patents, who has acknowledged Reggie's patents, who has acknowledged other patents. There's a bunch of coins that we may be holding. Theta has I believe, some patents. I think
Right.
Maker and who Cosmos and
Compound.
so understanding that there's value to that you're going to be able to hold somebody responsible to make sure that they
Well, that,
follow
that
the patent.
that's why I
Sure.
was saying on a previous episode was that, like with that of Veritasium, and look at what just happened with XRP and XLM.
Yeah.
I see this as a network that's going to be interoperable.
Yeah.
So you will have to operate from a decentralized system, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Digibyte, into a centralized system.
Yeah.
And the
Right.
Veritasium patents, I think, will have more to play there in the centralized system than the decentralized system. However, you will have to go through, if you want to move back and forth, I think that the interoperability of XRP and XLM will be the gap, will be the bridge from the centralized to the decentralized, or vice versa.
Well, the way I
No,
look at it. Oh,
go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead, Javier.
No. I was just going to say, let's break that down a little bit. I was hoping that they could explain that sometimes we go, oh, it's a patent. He's trying to take over Bitcoin or he's trying to take over. Like, no, we're paying for patents in these phones that we've used. He's often mentioned, Reggie has often mentioned this. I mean, there are patents in everything. I probably can't explain it as well as any. But I think the importance is, it's not that he's not going to shut down crypto. It needs to be understood that, hey, he invented something. He
Well, you
needs
touch on a good
his
topic, Javier.
percentage. Go
Many
ahead.
people that we meet are kind of married to their bags because let's face it, it's very, very difficult to get more and more knowledge and information in your head and invest on more and more markets and see the game even bigger. There's so many angles to go at and levels of depth with macroeconomics, geopolitics, what the actual technology is, how it works, who owns it, what it consists of, what its place is in the world, what the market cap of that market is. And there's a lot of elements at play on also on understanding how does the system work in various parts of the world? How does the political system work?
Yeah,
How does the financial system work? And all those elements can make it very, yeah, it's might be a bit of a different angle that I go at, but it's very difficult for at least for me, and I think I'm one of the people that actually goes into those rabbit holes. It's very difficult to keep up with everything, but it's also difficult to explain because if you go from one thing to the other, and if you're listening and you don't really know how it works or how it plays out, it's
you're right.
difficult to get lost. And
Very.
I like to follow various people that specialize in one thing, but I like to specialize in the general view because I believe then I can pick where it's actually going to be concentrated. Where's the wealth actually going to be concentrated? What is this innovation in this framework of everything? Where is the actual, innovation occurring?
No,
Because that's, in my
it's doing
opinion,
your
is where the
homework
growth
on.
is. Yeah, that's where the growth is.
Yeah,
And for me, it's in blockchain. For me, it's definitely in blockchain, but not just from a software point of view, but from a hardware point of view as well. Because this just like you said with silver, which is used as a rare metal in a tangible asset in hardware, that's going to play a role. It's it's clear cut. It's very simple. It's going to play a role, but which one and where, you know, and when? Don't we all want to know?
yeah. No, and that's
So
where understanding that is extremely important, and that's why I want, if Dave or Clint can elaborate on not only that having a patent doesn't mean shutting down uh, all the coins. It's pay your dues. This phone that we have that we're using right now, and this is all stuff I'm parroting stuff that I've heard from Reggie, and I'm doing no justice to him. I'm not.
hey, we see. Hey,
I'm not
Tom.
ever eloquent on that,
Tom
but
can't live without silver. Hey, Daddy.
well, and not only the silver part, but understanding that all he wants is what, I don't know, Dave, if you can explain it, his piece as of Microsoft getting their piece for their patents, and understanding for this system to work, either all patents are good or all patents are bad. You can't have
No,
it
no, no, no,
both
no,
ways.
Javier. That's not it. It's very simple. In the West, we protect innovation. We protect the inventor. That's where our progress comes from. So we go at lengths way to protect inventors because we believe ultimately, at the end of the day, the people that contribute to society through mechanical engineering is the highest form of contribution that you can give. So that's where the
Well,
most value
Steak,
comes from.
I'm gonna,
So
I'm gonna
that's
go
it.
another avenue. We have not protected him. And if from what
Well,
I
I don't know.
understand,
Bit too early
of,
to say that.
and maybe we are, but from what I've seen, the guy had a patent on basically what's going on. And I don't know, maybe coincidentally, I think there's a company named Paxos that the same day that the SEC fined him, all of a sudden Praxis comes up with the same exact idea and runs with it. And so I think, Steak, that's where you know me very well. I have my doubts because, yeah, I'm seeing the unfairness. Is it all going to work out for the
Well,
best?
me
Maybe
too.
it's
For
timing.
for me, for me, if I have to blow a hole in the Veritasium angle, and I don't really like to do it because I kind
Hmm.
of like the guy and I
No, I
wish
think
him
you
good
should.
luck.
I mean,
But
this is what we were here for.
Let's
yeah,
hash it out.
Hash it out.
I'm just setting it up. I'm getting there, Javier. But bear with me, I'm high right now, so the, you know me. Anyway, the
No.
thing is, I think Reggie filed a patent in the US and Japan that got approved, and he
Hmm.
filed also one in Europe which didn't get approved. So
Hmm.
if a system works through something in Switzerland or Liechtenstein or anywhere else, if you have a network that originates from that area that does that vital part of the economy, then I'm sorry for Reggie, but then the patent will be
I
used there by companies that are allowed to do so, and not in the US or Japan, which basically means that his use case has been made void. We're talking here about a global
I agree with you.
network. So, that's the issue here. We're talking about a
But
global
but
network,
let,
but
let's
we're
let's
talking
break
about
down that issue.
no, no, Javier, I'm not done yet. We're
Okay,
talking about a
I'm
global
sorry about
network,
that.
but
Go for it.
we're talking about regional laws.
Hmm.
So there's different laws in the EU as there are in Japan or the US, and that
Hmm.
has to become more in sync with one another. And that's where the magic happens. That's why this privacy shield is so utterly valuable and important going forward, because we're going to see much more cooperation between the EU and the US. I'm wholeheartedly agreeing with it. That's why, as a European, I'm actually here in a space with people from America. I like you
Hmm.
guys. I think if we should work with people in the world outside of our continent, then I wholeheartedly encourage it to be Europe and the US. Not to dismiss any other regions in the world, but I think we just align more on social cultural issues than anywhere else in the world, and I think it's a very normal and logical step forward. Hi, Dave. TGMV
I,
worth
I,
a purchase. Well, yeah, I want to address that, Ryan. Yes.
that's another discussion for sure.
Yeah, that's another
Well,
discussion.
just let me
Remember,
finish with
remind me to that
after
later,
you.
Dave. I'm going to go
Okay.
into that tangent.
Okay.
Short answer, Ryan, yes. So, on the IPs, Javier, I understand your concern, but the thing is, we have to keep our eyes focused on the market. Things change quickly. And if you know what's behind the scenes, if you actually know where the people
To
holding the
look.
real value are, we can make our positions in time.
Yeah, and I'm here to learn that. My thing is, from what I'm understanding, so I could be. I follow Reggie quite a bit, so
Good
I've got to
comment
listen
too.
to it 2 or 3 times. And
You
what
got to
I
look at the comments,
understand,
Javier.
the
Yeah.
well, I will. I can't read the comments. That's your tactic in distracting me into not being able to finish my sentence.
What's
I
what's
can't
the
do
name of
that.
your dog,
Hey,
Javier?
I'm not that smart, but I do know that if that transaction runs through Japan or through the United States, now all of a sudden it involves the IP here for Reggie. And that's just something I'm
Yeah, I hope
parroting
so.
what he says. By no means take my explanation of this. I'm not very good and I'm not very eloquent, but I do listen quite a bit, so I do know which avenue he's headed. And do I think it could be a long play? Yeah, or short play? Yeah. I know the coin, he's been very clear. The coin has no use case. It's not an issue. I have Vertasium, but it's not the coin till this day. The SEC has not allowed a use case for Vertasium. So, hey man, as I think Big Swear says, it's your wild card,
Yeah, but
and
here's
I
the funny
think it
thing.
can.
We just
Go
said
ahead.
we just said the CFTC is now going to go after exchanges and not the SEC. And Reggie's patent is not only being used by Solana or in NFTs, but also by exchanges on how
Yeah,
to trade in between one another. So, that's with the whole lawsuit against Coinbase is at. And that's the
yeah,
interesting thing that's also tied into the Ripple court case. And Reggie is very aware of that. So it's
sure,
interesting to
sure.
see how that will happen. But the SEC is out of the window, Javier.
Yeah, yeah, no, to me, that's where I am. Let's go into another avenue of this, and
Sure.
They're talking about Bitcoin
Let's talk
and
about
the
exchanges.
government. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about exchanges. Let's talk about the elephant in the room.
I think here we're going right there. I'll lead you right into it, Steak. I'll give you I'll give you a
Be gentle.
softball pitch. No, what I'm understanding is that in Bitcoin, the government and maybe Clint or somebody could explain, or y'all could explain, they held the most coins, and they are now transacting, and it makes it seem like, well, they're just selling it to a low bidder. I totally disagree. If the government is giving somebody, they're selling it at a premium, because if those people wanted that many coins, they would have to spend a lot of money, because Clint isn't going to sell his. I have a price. But it ain't at 30, at whatever the hell it is right now. It ain't at 30. So you're going to pay more for that
Well,
Bitcoin.
look no further than the Silk Road from Bitcoin, right?
Thank you.
I mean,
Yeah, that's a good
the
one.
government comes in, sweeps it all up, and then sells it to the Winklevoss twins at Gemini for a discount, and they got 200,000 Bitcoin.
I don't think it's for a discount. I think that if it's the OT, because who has it?
Look at when that happened. Look at when that
Well,
happened. How early on was that versus a $30,000 Bitcoin today? I mean,
yes.
what did they pay for it? $500, $600?
Do you want to go into Mount Gox too?
Yeah, no, and I'm ready to go there. My thing is, if the Winklevoss wanted that many coins, which exchanges had that many coins besides the United States government?
Well, fair point, but it is
Nobody. So you're paying a premium. The game is being played, and if you walked into the room and you look around, you don't know who the sucker is. It's you. We need to accept that this is being played, and it's not being done for a discount. I realize that if there's this many coins, the government is in cahoots one way or another. If they did sell it below or at whatever market price, there is a deal involved. And man, that's probably my skeptical part of me on not trusting very few people, and especially very few governments, to be out for the people's interest. History has shown that they're just not there for our interest. Clint, get in on this.
I can't disagree with you on that. I mean, the
no.
government picks
So
winners
so
and
where's the
losers.
segue into exchanges?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Let's talk
here it
about
is.
this.
If my thing was the segment was into the exchanges, they will now eliminate what happened in night, and here we got 2 or 3 historians here. What happened in the 30s when all of a sudden big banks came and said there's going to be a bank run? They just choose the winners and losers, and now we're only going to go through the few
Sure.
that they have chosen to get into. There's your
So
entrance.
we know who they've chosen, and if you've
But
paid
you
attention,
said it
you
in the
know who
last
they've
video
chosen.
we posted.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Many people aren't looking at that from a regulatory angle. And you can fight the beast, you can, and at some point you just got to ride the wave.
Totally.
I hate to say it, but
Sure.
you're not going to win it at this time. You're not going to win. This is not the battle you're going to win. You might win the war, but you're not going to win this battle. You're right. They pick the winners, because if you want to create a digital infrastructure across nation states, across continents, then that's not going to come from the people. That's going to come from up top, because they agree first on a treaty. And here's the interesting thing that many people might not know, but in Europe, I just looked it up again because I had to be sure, but in Europe, international treaties are higher prioritized than domestic treaties because of the way European Union is set up. So a nation state can't just do their own legislation if you agreed something with the entire bloc. In the US, it's the exact opposite. Domestic law prioritizes over international treaties, and the government then has to be accountable on the international level on how much they fucked up if states don't want to play along. That's the freedom you have in the US. So it's completely a different angle. But if you look at the way the US is doing exchanges and regulation, The SEC, and we'll have to wait what the CFTC will say on this, but I think they'll have the same. You have to register as an exchange to be compliant first with the SEC before you're allowed to trade. And they want to clean up the market. So many exchanges are delisting coins and are cleaning up shop. But there's a lot of skeletons coming out of the closet right now. We've seen it happening with a lot of exchanges. Court
You got
cases, defaults, and many more to come. And there are a few exchanges that are already cleaned up. And one of them is, for example, LCX. And LCX is an exchange that is an interesting one for various reasons. But they're the only exchange that is registered as a partner of the World Economic Forum. They're operated in Liechtenstein. They tap into European Union finance, but also because of the way that the country is set up, it's basically a big city, and it's part on the border of Switzerland. They also are allowed to go into Swiss banking. So they tie both of those together, which is basically where all the old money of the world is, in Switzerland anyway. Lots of gold in those banks, lots of money because they used to be very neutral on the world stage and everyone trusted them with their gold. There's a lot of mountains, a lot of artillery there. The Nazis never conquered it because they shut everything down. So it's like this natural fortress that just protects shit up in the mountains. It's a good safe haven. Very, very,
well,
very
state
rich
your.
society. So
Go ahead.
LCX had a lawsuit with the SEC, or it was the SEC versus Wahi, which got settled 3 weeks ago and basically determined by rule by decree because they weren't listed as defendants, even though the actual guy that was prosecuted for insider trading was. And you can only have insider trading if you're trading in securities. So these 9 ERC20 tokens and LCX were deemed a security because they settled 3 weeks ago. But now we have this Ripple court case where things are not a security. So if they would actually file a lawsuit against the CFTC or against the SEC and say, well, hey, this SEC fucked up with this court case, we don't think ERC20 tokens and LCX is actually a security, but it's just, look at the jurisprudence from the Ripple case. Then that suddenly opens it up and makes LCX so far the only registered exchange in the US because they had that court case. So if you look at that and if you look at where are they operated, well, Reggie's patent isn't active in Europe. Is how convenient. How convenient is
Yeah,
that? Oh,
yeah,
wow. We can now be, and LCX is the only compliant one. So it's the only one that's tapped into the US market. And they're actually, if you register with them, it's the most harsh, brutal, know your customer registration you'll ever do for an exchange. It's even worse than buying a house. You have to disclose everything. How much money you make a year. You have to show that.
sure.
You have to show receipts of that. You have to tell them where you spend your money, your free money, if you have some extra in the month, on what you spend it on. For registering with an exchange, it goes so far, so far. And then you have a manual, a period of time where they look at you and they basically screen you before you get accepted to the platform. This isn't an automatic system. It can take a week before you're registered there. It's even worse than getting a mortgage for an exchange. And they're fully compliant. They've done the same thing from a notary perspective on what's coins and tokens. They choose to be compliant with the highest standard possible. And to answer the question of one guy in the chat, one of those tokens is DGMV, an ERC20 token that's been created by a bunch of people from the Digibyte community. It's not doing fuck all right now with very low liquidity. I'll be very honest. Probably a perfect buying moment. But if we get the scenario where LCX is the only compliant exchange and they can only trade in compliant tokens, then that will be one of the few you'll be able to buy. One of the few.
And,
And it's from that perspective, it's interesting. And then if you look at their use case, they want to make compliant trade possible for enterprises on the new internet. That's what they're building basically with Freefold, right? They're building the new decentralized internet. Well, that ties conveniently in that whole privacy shield thing. So there's a market there. There's a perfect timing, forward thinking again. It's early, but I think that there's a use case there. I don't know what it's worth. It's worth nothing right now, but it seems like a very interesting project to look at. It's just very, very early. Very
Well,
early, and you might have to be very patient, and it might turn out into absolutely fuck all. But I do think there could be something interesting based on what LCX does.
you know what, Dick? And your tactic is incredible. Now I know your tactic is to keep talking till I forget what the hell I'm saying, but I actually wrote it down. And my thing
I
is,
actually do that by purpose, Javier.
I know you do. It's very easy for a person like me. Boom, I forget all trace of thought, but I actually wrote it
So
down.
what
My
are
thing
what are
is,
your plans for the weekend?
you, you. I know that joke. You definitely poked the beehive, and so here's where I come. And I understand thing. I don't know if it's because you're in some sort of politics, but here we're used to seeing that there's laws for certain people and there's laws for others, and that's where
Of course,
some of us old farts have these doubts because we've seen the
rightfully
crimes.
so. You're right. No,
We've
no, no.
seen them.
You're
We go
right.
to
You're
Congress.
right.
We see the
You're
people
right.
go in. They go
So
through
you're
all,
basic. So
and
you're
there's no
basically saying.
consequences.
So you're basically saying if we're right about that, if we're right about the corruption in the government, and let's say I fully agree with you. I fully
Hmm.
agree with you. I like history, so
Hmm.
we can, and I'm sure Clint, you're all from the U.S., Dave, so we can
Oh
name
yeah,
our
they're chomping
history
at
of
the bit.
corruption. Sure, but if that is true, and LCX is the only WEF partner, then sure, we're going to see it. We're going to see it.
Well, I think we're going to see it, and that's where we want. You know
But
what? I know that Clint is
that's
looking
still
for a fair
but it's
system
still
for his kids.
it's still conjecture, right? It's still conjecture. Well, the
Hmm.
fair system is just unstoppable. It's the fair system is unstoppable
There's
because
no consequences to the people
the
that
new
have that
generation
have.
wants this. And if we're integrating US and EU, we're going to need a decentralized system. It's very simple. So
Well,
it's
I'm
just where the
hoping
market
that
is
it
heading.
could. I hope that the math and everything else could lead us into that because I know that that's what Dave wants, that's what Clinton wants, that's what I want. We
I
just
also
want to
think
play
it's
on
going
a
to
fair
Javier,
playing field.
I think it's also going to happen a lot sooner than we now think because of this lawsuit. I mean, I think that
Great.
those are the ramifications I spoke about earlier. I think people don't realize that we're on the precedence of I think a few weeks or months of bullish behavior in this space. I think that finally, here's two things I'm going to give you all. One, this is the first project in the US right now that have received clarity so it can be built upon by US developers. You don't have to be afraid if you build something now for 1 or 2 years that you're going to be put into jail because there has been given clearance. That's huge for the US because they missed that so far. This is the first project that has that. Congratulations, XRP. This is what you've been given. This is the true value use case that's happened today. That's one. Well, the other one is that by giving legal clearance, it opens up legal clearance for other projects. So it's like a snowball effect. And suddenly these big players, these big financial institutions, call them a Berkshire Hathaway, call them a BlackRock and a Vanguard, a JP Morgan, all these motherfuckers that have been bashing Bitcoin since the early days. It's a
I'm
worthless
buying it.
project. It's going to
And
zero. They've destroyed the narrative because they want to keep it small because they want to own it. They want to buy it. It's
They
the
want to
oldest trick in the
control it.
book. You bash what you want to buy and you keep the price low. And that's what they've been doing. And now they've got the regulatory clarity on XRP. Well, guess what? We're going to put all the fucking money in it that we can put into it. And we're in this space. And if you're listening, you're in this space. So yeah, you're going to ride that wave. How much? Which project? I don't know, but you're going to ride it. So you might as well just, lick your ice cream and enjoy your sandwich. I'm going to add that one, steak sandwich.
I think Clint's about to blow up with that cigar. So go,
Blow it up.
Go Clint.
give it.
All right, no, I agree with a lot of these points because what you saw today, I'm just going to take it from my perspective. What you saw today with XRP and what happened with the court case. Well, first of all, we're talking about the big players dogging Bitcoin. I've seen it, Jamie Dimon in 2017, talking bad about it, beating it down. Then you find out, wait a minute, He's got people in Europe trading it, another arm of the institution. And see, they've been doing this and doing this and doing this. So when this happens today, that tells me it's go time. They're ready. They got what they need. They've sucked all the coins out of people that they can. The solid coins, the real money coins. They've got it. They're ready. And so this is just like, okay, it's time. They dragged this XRP case out for how long? It's like, what is going on now? All of a sudden, boom, there it is. We have clarity. So I think it's ready to go. I think the system's ready to roll. I mean, they've got a lot of the pieces in place that they want, or at least they have the assets that they want. They don't think they're going to be able to get any more at a cheap price. They've scared everybody out of it. It's going to be scared out of it. And so, but
I agree.
By ruling that XRP is not a security, that opens the window to everybody. And I see the Winklevoss, Cameron Winklevoss is out on Twitter just banging it. The SEC, you suck. You're pieces of crap. You're this Mashinsky thing, too late. You guys, you try and blow your smoke screen all you want. Your cover's blown. And if XRP is not a security, then what else could be a security at this point? I guess that's the question I want to throw out. What's a security? I mean, can we label anything as security if XRP is not a
Anything
security?
that yields a dividend.
So anything like any staking or anything that, like that
Correct.
would be a dividend would be like your securities at this point, you think, Dave?
Correct.
Yeah, that kind of makes
Plus,
sense.
probably also every project that's not compliant. Because if you're not compliant with know your customer laws or anti-money laundering laws, and then you don't got your shit in order, but people still want to invest in it,
Mm-hmm.
you're probably a security.
The
Until proven
exchanges
otherwise.
the exchanges that are giving yield security.
Yeah, but what exchanges will do that? Because when they have to become
Which
compliant,
one?
and the law will be enforced, and it will be enforced by September, October next year.
Okay,
That's
so we
when
still
all
have
the
time.
legislation, yeah, that's when for exchanges. That's when for exchanges all the law will become mandatory. So here's
Or
two
they
things
pick
that
the
are
winners and
important
losers.
before you start, Javier. Here's two things that are important with those exchanges. The most important thing is that they have to comply with all the rules that have to be protected. Retail has to be protected. That's one, and that sums up know your customer, anti-money laundering, trade, everything. The second one is interesting. Is if an exchange sees something that's out of the ordinary in regards to fraud, they are responsible for reporting it. Failure to report it will be seen as engaging in the criminal activity. So they'll be the policeman of their space. So they'll have the actual opposite role of what they're doing now. So instead of clearing money out of the pockets of retail by manipulating everything, they'll actually be held accountable for keeping the peace. So an exchange will have to go through a radical evolution, and they'll have to clean up shop or they're out of business. And I don't think many of the exchanges that we have right now are capable of doing that, because they just have been doing nothing but
Wash trading.
yeah, manipulating price. And they're all just shitty people. And if you're watching, I'm being nice here. And the thing is that's exactly what we want to get away from. We want to cut out the middleman with peer-to-peer transactions.
Who's
We want
doing
a
the
fair,
regulating?
decentralized system. So that's why we want to invest in this. And I think ultimately the people that are going to make the money, especially as we go older with younger generations, we're just going to see more and more proof of work UTXOs. That's eventually just because if liquidity grows, then also development grows. And if you're getting a bunch of people in this community and everyone's a millionaire, everyone's going to build on it. So it's just gonna grow there from a community perspective. So I think that the future is very bright there. Sorry to cut you off, Javier, but it's just
No.
such a monumental ruling today. For me, it definitely warrants cracking open a beer, and a big toast to all of you, because yeah, pour some liquidity, Clint. You probably got some IPAs there or a
Yeah, I
whiskey.
should
Got
probably
some
do that.
scotch.
He's got
I
something.
got some scotch, yeah.
Yeah, I got some nice scotch. Open a good bottle. This was a fun day. You know what? The guy from David Swartz from XRP. You know what he said today on Twitter regard to the lawsuit. He says this is Victory Day. July 13, 2023, from now on be known as Victory Day. You know, they're partying over there. They're like, okay, we're this is it for them. This is it. So the rest will. I remember back in the day, it was a long time ago, right? XRP was like the second coin
Mhm.
on for a long time,
Yeah.
and they've been held back for a long time, and they're just reclaiming their place again. So it shouldn't surprise people, and it wouldn't surprise me if we're gonna see, based on the volume. I don't really like to do price here, but I think we could do 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7x with XRP. I don't know. Could be happening in the next couple of weeks, months. Could be happening even sooner, or it could go really crazy. We're gonna see billions, tens of hundreds of billions of dollars being poured in the next couple of months, and then we'll have our actual bull market. You know, that's like an actual proper one. Maybe you'll see 10,000 green candles a week for Bitcoin. You know, that could happen.
I think Bitcoin any day could be 45,000. Any
Yeah,
day, you just wake up and it's
boom.
just there.
Because the regulatory framework is now it's now starting. So it's just this happened today. What's going to happen tomorrow with the
Tomorrow,
lawsuits?
And if
BlackRock,
if that
BlackRock,
Yeah,
happens,
ETF.
yeah,
if
they
that
don't want to wait.
happens, does it bring up Ether,
It brings
Bitcoin
up
Cash, and
everything.
Litecoin
It brings
automatically?
up everything. Yeah, it brings up everything. If BlackRock says now we want this regulated, get it done. Get it approved because we filed with the SEC. Now the CFTC is going to do it, and we don't want to wait. You're just going to say yes. This is our terms. This is how we want to deal with a utility class. Get the PACT law from European Union, from the MiCA regulation, install that into the US. We have a new asset class, a utility. This is how BlackRock wants to control it. This is the plan. We've worked it out for you. You're going to sign here. You're going to make a pretty picture, put your name under it. Good job. You're going to be promoted to another job in government, and we're just going to put I don't know, maybe 5 trillion into it, maybe 10 trillion into it, maybe 20 trillion into it, and it's just going to eventually. It could they could
Yeah.
potentially put the whole Nostro Vostro into XRP at some point. It's just it's 3/4 of the money supply. It's even
And it's got
more.
a huge community. It's got a powerful community, as
It's
other
ridiculous.
coins do too. And that's
But
where I see the value of
it
coming
just
in.
seems ludicrous to think about that amount of money. For me, it seems ludicrous. It seems like I don't. Is this
I'm
really going
not
to happening?
impressed
Is
with the
is this
money.
is No, but this is financial institutions. This is not retail. This is
Oh,
not
okay.
enterprises. This is a new class. This is like we're entering the new class of money. Maybe derivatives, bond market is next. Like that's fucking nuts, man. That's fucking
Well, it's
ridiculous.
got to go somewhere. I mean, and what better
It's gotta
place
go somewhere.
than an unlimited sponge? Because that's
Yeah,
all that
whole
we've got
financial
now.
system is going to work on this. Yeah,
It
this is
has
where
to.
it's going.
It
Yeah.
has to. It has to. And so I guess the thing is, let's look at the big picture item, because I'm still a sound money guy. I want I look at XRP, I look at a lot of these other things, and I'm like, but at some level, those are they are what they are. And that's why I resonate with the Litecoin Digibyte stuff.
No, what I'm no,
You
I'm
know,
just joking.
it
Hey, I
is what it
understand
is.
what you're saying.
But I mean, big picture level, I mean, I guess basically this is kind of what I thought was coming, and maybe is this what's coming? What do you guys think? Are we in the situation now to where it's like, okay, we're ready to move forward. We're going to have the regulation. We're going to, essentially make the exchanges kind of the new banks, to, take the money in and out, of the
It
new
sure
system.
looks like that, Clint. It sure
Yeah.
looks like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the exchanges, the ones that are anointed, the ones that have not been kicked out and stamped out and put under for whatever reason, whatever purposes or how it was done. The ones that are left standing are going to be the new JP Morgans, the new Bank of Americas, the new, digital asset brokers, I guess, gateways for everybody. And I guess that to play on that, at some point, where are you going to get your Litecoin? Where are you going to get your Digibyte? How are you going to get it? I mean, we do now, we go to exchanges a lot of times, but is it basically we're taking that old layer and saying, hey, we're need to do to tie everything together and extrapolate that onto this new digital layer. And yeah, you guys can use all your money, and we're going to call it utilities, we're going to call it securities, we're going to call it money, but you're going to come through us. And it's got to come through us, and we'll let you play your games, but you got to play by our rules. Is that kind of
Yeah,
in a
but
nutshell what we're doing.
Clint, and here's a question to you. How realistic is it for right now? There are coins that are being worked on that are practically impossible to get to. To me, this door has to open. We have to be able to obtain some of the coins that we know have value that here in the United States we can't get. And I don't know if are they evening the playing field. They want to give it to other. I have no idea. I haven't done that much
It's very
homework.
simple. It's very simple. We're in a debt bubble because we want to leverage that against the rest of the world to impose our will in the West, and that has run its course. So we need a new system. And that new system will have a better divide and a better wealth inequality distribution gap. So there's going to be a little bit more money to the middle class because we need innovation when we move to a digital infrastructure. You know, we have the network for finance. We're going to get quantum computing. We're going to get AI eventually. And people are going to get out of jobs and more into art and science. So we're going to need more creativity. We're going to need more liquidity. We're going to need more power to the people in order to create a good, strong middle class. So it's a liquidity issue right now. And we need to solve that liquidity issue with a better distribution. And
Tell me
eventually
one thing,
that
Steve.
can only happen through a decentralized system. And they need it. The rich people need it too because they need innovation in order to buy shit. Otherwise, they don't like life.
Let me ask you this: is there going to be one company? It starts with a B and then
Is it
BL.
J?
I think you know who I'm talking
BLT?
about. Yeah, BLT. Are they the ones that are going to choose the winners and losers
Well, they
because of
always
the
do.
financial and money? I mean,
Well,
I
it's
just
you
want
know
to know who.
it depends on who you believe. But if you just look at history, it's very hard not to think about several families, several companies owning everything. If you look at how the system operates, how it works, you know, there's this illusion of choice, and there's a few thousand people in the world that basically run everything. And that's just the reality of the situation. I mean, we cannot like it, but we want to do something against it. That's why Bitcoin was originally created with the white paper as a peer-to-peer system that basically cuts out the middleman. Because if you get rid of the middleman, you solve this issue. It's very elegant. It's maybe the eighth wonder of the world. It's phenomenal if you look at how it's been created. If you look at the Byzantine generals problem that it solves, that you can actually be sure where it comes from, that you can trust it. It's a truth machine. It solves the double spending problem, so you no longer need that debt cycle. But it does mean that you go towards a different society. We're ready for it. We're ready for a free market. We're ready to work for it again. It gives meaning to our lives. It solves so many issues that we need in society right now, that generates a lot more wealth and innovation. Like if you're a billionaire, and you need to have food and you go out and you go to a restaurant, and if you spend the same equivalent back into the economy as the average Joe, you wouldn't go to 80,000 restaurants in one day. That's the amount of money you could pay for it, but you're not
Exactly.
going to put that back into it. So, you know, those billionaires are not going to buy 100,000 jeans. They don't need them. They need a few jeans. That's it. They won't use it. They've got too much to spend. So it's just a system that doesn't really work well. And if they have a better middle class with more innovation, they have more gadgets to buy and to spend their money on. And that just grew out of whack too. So it's in their best interest to also do this. So it's not really rocket science, but it's of course a very difficult problem to solve. And I think it's necessary to do this. You've talked about debt in the US a lot, Javier. You've talked a lot about it, you know, how can this be sustainable? People with credit card debts buying cars, buying houses. If that ever blows, people will be very poor. And I think we're going to see that. That's the sad, tragic reality that we all have to be very aware of. It's like that scene with Brad Pitt when they're in the casino with the Big Short, where he says, yeah, you just made bank, but, you know, 40,000 people are going to kill themselves because, you know, those are the statistics. So, yeah, you can have your victory, you can have your parade, you can pop open your beer, but we're going to see some damages on
Well,
that bottom of society. And you know, I think that we should try to incorporate as many people as we can because ultimately we want to deal with that poverty. But you
I
can't really
agree.
bake an omelet without breaking an egg.
I agree. I agree.
Litecoin,
But
yeah, definitely. Yeah, Litecoin, yeah.
yeah,
Well, and that's it. You know,
Yeah.
that's why you
I
got
like
8 billion
Digibuy too,
people.
but
Right,
Litecoin
8
too.
billion
Yeah.
people. I mean, you got 21 billion Digibyte do the math on that. You don't need that many to be ahead of the next guy in line. So maybe you ought to get your wheels turning and think, hey, all this is going that way. They're setting it all up.
Well,
Let's front run that a little bit, and let's get that digital silver. Let's get that digital gold. Let's get those assets that are the proof of work assets on the solid networks that have a predefined existence and how many there are.
Fully agree.
Now's the time to really wake up and say, hey, this stuff's coming. This stuff's just sitting out there. Digibyte's just sitting there to pick up. I mean, Litecoin's sitting there to pick up.
But,
I mean,
Clint, let's go a little deeper with Staker there. For us old farts.
You want to go deeper with me?
Yeah. I definitely want to go deeper.
I'm about
for us old farts, are they? You said it's one of two ways. Either get more people so there could be more spread of us getting trinkets, or is the plan to eliminate the debt that the old farts like myself are carrying? Not debts in other words, what we were promised in 401ks, what we were promised in retirement funds.
Let's talk retirement. Yeah.
Let's go there, because I want to go as deep as we can on all these subjects, because that's where the important part is. There are people, there are young people, and then there are old people that you're going to leave on the streets, or that's the plan. I don't know.
So let's go into that. So right now in the Netherlands and many countries in the West have the same issue, at least those that contributed to the Second World War. They've had a big baby boom afterwards. And after that, not so many people were born. So we have a very inverse pyramid of a demographic of an older population that is increasing and a younger population that isn't reproducing as much to keep up. And pensions are not being paid out of your piggy bank. They're paid out of taxes that are being worked at right now. So you need a strong workforce. And for the Netherlands here, we right now have 3 working people for 1 pensioner. And by 2040, we reach the biggest problem. Then we'll have 2 working people for 1 pensioner. And that basically happens until 2042, 43 for 3 years. And then in 2045, it kind of levels out because those boomers are expected to die. And then that money that they hold and those houses that they hold, which is very important, they will no longer need it, but they can't sell it either because the young generation can't buy it and they don't want to go into a care home, so they don't sell it. But when they die, those houses come on the market, and you have too few people to live in it because all the old people died, and too young. So house prices are going to collapse at some point, and house prices are very much tied into your pension fund. So what's going to happen? Well, it's very simple. We can't pay it. It's unsustainable. We can't pay the pension fund, and everyone knows it. We already have a difficulty to do that.
They offer you an early retirement ticket.
Yep.
Right. So there are
Digibyte.
2 solutions. There are 2 solutions, Javier, to this problem. And one solution is already going out of the window because the time has run out. And that solution is make more kids. For all of you that are young and are watching, please make more kids. It's good. It's beneficial.
Yeah,
if you can't get more kids, you have to immigrate.
Yeah, just to throw that out real quick, Steak. I mean, there's like right under 30% of people in the U.S. live alone right now. I mean, you got one person living by themselves. I mean, they're not really reproducing. Just like you said, we have a negative growth rate. So for every 2 people,
we got to work on that.
Like 1 point something. So we're not replenishing the supply of people. The only thing that's doing that is the immigration. I mean, bringing more people into the country because, just like most Western societies, that's what's happening. You're looking,
Well, Clint, let me ask you this, and you're probably a statistics guy.
I made all
and I'm not saying this machismo thing, but right now the male is at a huge disadvantage going into a relationship because he's got everything to lose.
Passport,
and
bro.
Very little to win, and I don't mean it in a rude way. I don't know if I'm saying
it
that's
right. That's a bit of a tangent there, but let's go back to those pensioners again. Like you can solve it in 2 ways: make more kids or have immigrants. And if you have immigrants, you create problems with social cohesion. but we can't get the younger people to make more kids because we fucked the system. They can't buy a house, and they don't have enough. They don't have enough buying power to do it, so they don't make enough, and they're
And
so well educated that they don't seem it being worthy to have a family. So
I
it's
disagree.
those are just the statistics. It's not
Well,
even an
no, they
opinion.
could be the
It's just
statistics, but what you consider a smart person doesn't know how to change a light bulb.
no, not a smart
What
person, an educated person.
an
You
educated
got the
person doesn't
degrees
know how
and
to
yeah.
change a light
I'm
bulb.
not saying
That,
not saying smart, Javier.
no, I
It's
agree. Whatever you said, that person, and so what we've done right now, that's why Blind Dave is paying 20, 30, whatever he needs, because it's the middle of summer and he needs air conditioning, he's going to have
sure,
this shit
but
done.
let's go deep into those pensions, Javier.
Let's
So
go.
yeah, because it's incredible. There's a lot of money there, Javier. Like a lot of
100%.
money. Have you seen September last year with the gilt market in the UK that almost defaulted the entire country because 60 trillion was suddenly being at risk of being lost? 60 trillion.
Yeah,
what,
to be honest, Nick, I
what an
haven't,
amount of money.
but I've seen a
No,
movie.
no, but that's that's not an M or a B. That's a T, fellas. That's a biggie biggie. That's a big T. And those amounts of money, they aren't yours.
Yeah,
They aren't yours.
and
They're being
I,
speculated upon. They're derivatives on that. They own you. They own your pension funds, and they decide what's going to happen with
there
it.
was a movie on that here. I don't know over there, but there was definitely a movie about that here, and we realized that. And so, in other words, trusting the system, not trust. We are in a fine line right now where some of us, my God,
So
the misinformation that's going out there, and not that my or Dave's or anybody here's information is any
so
better. We try to avoid the prices, but we are definitely in a situation where the word isn't getting out. And for someone to win again, for someone to win
there is no
financially,
alternative.
somebody's got to lose. More people have to lose. That I do
Sure.
know.
Sure, but look, if you go into those pension funds and you get those immigrants to get those working numbers up because you need more workers to pay for those for taxes to pay for those pensions, then that's going to create problems with social cohesion because all those people have to integrate into the country. You know this in the US, but if you have this in Europe as well, the numbers are just out of whack. It's just too
Yes.
many people at once. So they don't have a house, but we give them a house. So people that have been waiting 20 years on a house suddenly see an immigrant get a house in 4 months and they get pissed off. So you get people that are starting to vote left or right wing in extremities, which creates even a bigger polarization in society, along with the whole wealth inequality gap. And all of a sudden, you have all sorts of social, cultural issues and media bullshit to keep people asleep on the actual elephant in the room. There are all sorts of social, cultural issues, but the biggest elephant is we have a class warfare. We have a very big wealth inequality gap. So it's just unsustainable. And they know this because you're going to get civil unrest, and they don't want that. They want their gadgets from the rich middle class. They don't want people with pitchforks. So it's necessary for them for this system to eventually go to more distribution. They need decentralization. They need that innovation in the market. It's not something they can barter on because that's their long-term risk. And some old folks, they don't care because by then they're dead. But the younger generation under that, they need it. So I think it might take a decade longer, but in 2030, you're probably sitting on a gold mine.
Yeah. So here's from another movie. So you're saying we have a chance?
No, I'm not saying we have a chance. And also dislike the fact that I'm saying we are. I'm fully right. I just don't see another way out.
No, I,
It's
I
just
agree, Steak.
it's like
You know, I,
it's just
I, I have to go against. I mean, this is about hashing it out, and some of the things I truly believe. Some of them
hey, if you see
I'm
another
trying to
angle, I'm all
understand
ears.
more. Yeah, and
If
and that's what I
maybe
want to
maybe the
go.
maybe the angle is war. That would be a good angle too. We're gonna
That's
shoot
That
up
would
a
that's
bunch
be
of
been the war
places
in the
again.
past. Yeah, in the past it's
Yeah,
been
and then
that.
and we're just gonna
Yeah, we'll go
rob
to
them.
war or we'll just
We're
reset
going to
things.
war. Yeah, but you're
Yeah.
gonna
yeah.
need. Yeah, we're gonna go to war. Let's go to war.
I don't think
Because
the
we
new
are armies,
generation's
right?
ready.
You can be proud of the Europeans after 70 to 80 years and their laud applause. We finally started building our own fucking weapons again. Yeah, we're rearming in Europe. Like that's actually happening. And we have a history of war. I mean, we've been bashing each other's brains in for millennia. Then after the Second World War, we said, yeah, let's not ever do that again. Created a union and sorted out everything internally. And now we're going external with one immigration policy, with one military. Did you know that the Dutch infantry, this is actually true, that happened this year, the Dutch infantry is under full German hierarchy. We just gave away our military to our neighbors, our infantry. You know, that's pretty big news. Can you imagine if US infantry was under Canadian command, what kind of shit that would happen in the US? Can you imagine? This is fucking.
And here's my thing: have we broken down to the system where we realize that the old-fashioned way of war is completely outdated? It's the black and white TV. Is it going to be in drones? I mean, why the hell are we messing
I don't know
with
how, but I know where. I know it's going to be in Africa for rare metals. I mean, that's where we're going to go.
Oh yeah,
Probably
the
gonna go to
richest
Congo at some
continent
point.
in the world.
We're going to need fucking cobalt. We need more cobalt for our systems. We need fucking cobalt. That's what we need. And if you don't want to sell it, we're going to get it. That's what we did with oil. That's what we're going to do with other commodities.
Where's the fair system? Where's the fair system to the people there?
The fair system is when you zoom out. It doesn't happen. Progress doesn't happen in linear ways. It happens in waves, just like your price goes up and down. You know, you have to zoom out. This is a thing that it's not going to have a peaceful transit in the short term. But I think in the long term, it moves society towards a better place, but much slower than many people want. And I just think the world is too complex. The world is just too complex. It's very simple.
And let me go to the continent of Africa being the richest continent in the world that has everything. You don't think there's smart enough people to go in there and direct, hopefully good people, but direct us into a fair system? I know the old system is screwed.
I'd rather go into a proof of work system than go to war in Africa. You know, I win on both sides. So it's sure.
Well, I see the value coming from Africa.
But we also said
because there are people that are going to understand the value of the minerals there that are going to go in there. And those people are not going to be me or you going in and go, look, we found some cobalt. There's going to be some big players starting with a B and with an L and go, we've got this. So now we want peace because we want more of the mining. We're going to put regulations. Through this, we're going to tax the people. We're going to give each one of them a phone. We are going, and I'm understanding, because I'm going to tell you, I believe in the next 10 to 20 years, your best investments are going to come from Africa, whether it be property, gold, silver, whatever the hell.
Let's just hope that if they're on a brick system, let's just hope that we're smart enough not to go to war, but make them a good offer for the cobalt. You know, let's just hope that that's something that we can do. But
you know what? At one point, you can corner people. You can corner a wild animal into a corner. And eventually, it gets to the point where if there's not enough food, they will do whatever it takes to get there and go, we're not going to do it, or F you, we revolt. But in other words, it's easier to go into a fairer system. And I think that it's almost time. We were talking about a time where maybe a great percentage weren't as educated, and I'm just guessing. I don't know numbers, but I'm thinking right now, my God, most of the workers, I see them here in the United States. I see them everywhere. We're getting an educated group of people that can manipulate. I'm on this show, and I probably shouldn't be here because of what I know, but there's people that can come in because of being the contrary, people following them into a better system, because I believe, this is my wishes, that we go into a better system to where at one particular time we'll choose whether to go into the shit that they're going to offer us, which makes it look really nice, or struggle a little longer and keep the system right. It can't go on. We will fall right back into this crap, the same shit that we were in.
Javier, you're basically saying, are we going to get a CBDC or the same shit that we have right now?
Yeah.
That's basically what you're saying, right?
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're going to do that, but also envision the tokenization of all financial assets globally. So
There you
that's
go,
the
Dave.
market
That's
that
what I wanted to really say.
that's the market that we're in right now, and that's what we're
So
discussing.
let me go a little bit philosophical here, if I may. Like our current price for products in the world stem from two things: the base cost of the resources that we have to extract somewhere. That's what you pay if you get a product, and you pay the price for how to turn those resources into that product. That's what you pay. That and there's marketing and ad, manufacturing, everything, labor cost, and what have you not, energy, and that's what you pay. So you pay the resource and the manufacturing. And what we don't pay is the sustainability of that resource into nature so that we can go back to it indefinitely. That's not what we're paying. We've never included that into our price. When we fish, we pay for the fish and the fisherman, but we don't really pay for having another fish 10 years from now. We don't do that. We don't do that with trees. We don't do that with, sure as hell, we can't really do it with commodities because we live in a finite world. But if you want to go to a fairer price and a fairer distribution of tokenization of things, that's a component that you're going to have to put into price. So things in price will have to go up in price. And
No, no, Dave.
if
Whoa,
you
whoa,
if
whoa,
you
whoa.
Javier,
We've done
yes,
that. We went
no,
up in price for our labor, and now everything's just more expensive. What
no, we
we need
haven't
to
gone
do
up.
it.
Oh, just
Javier, we
wait.
Oh
haven't
my!
gone up in
Just wait.
price.
The
Javier,
velocity of
that's
money has
factually
not hit yet. The
that's
velocity of
factually
money has
incorrect.
not hit yet.
Since 1971, productivity cost and labor cost has been decoupled. So your productivity goes up, but your labor cost, your wages have not increased as much as productivity has increased. That's the actual problem that we have here in the West. If if
So
if
don't
we would
invest in the
have,
U.S.
you would have a minimum wage of $48 in the US. That's your minimum wage that you should be having right now.
Wait.
Minimum,
What's that wage in? What's
minimum
that
wage.
wage in
No,
India?
wait,
What's
wait,
that
wait.
wage
No, no,
in?
no. I'm not talking about India. I'm talking about the West here. I'm talking about the
Well,
US.
then
I'm talking
we're
about,
screwed.
no, we're
Yeah.
not
Why,
screwed.
why,
That's
why, why would you hire a kid that doesn't know how to flip hamburgers at $48 an hour? Yet we have people that are talented because this is all being computerized. Now the guy that we need is the guy that could settle work within this tech community, and those guys, as disadvantaged as they are, there are plenty of people that know how to use that computer.
Javier, Javier,
United States is completely screwed. Nobody wants
Javier,
to work for $17 an hour
Javier.
flipping burgers.
If you make more wages as a person, you can start your own business because you have
You
enough money
can't.
to do that.
Let me show you.
No,
Let me show you how I closed the business with that thought. I had a business. You know what
hmm
happened? Now all of a sudden I had to pay a higher wage, and it was a very simple business. So you're eliminating the middle class, the entrepreneur. You're only leaving the big fish like the big chain companies because a
no,
guy like me gets to a point where I go, I
Javier,
can't
Javier,
pay someone that makes
Javier.
snow cones
Uh,
17, $18 an hour.
Javier, I understand your personal experience, but that's not what I'm talking about. Like currently, where the profit is going to people that own the stocks and bonds of that company. They make the most profit. So if you look at like
There's the problem. You're
if you yeah,
talking
but
about
you're
derivatives. You're
you
talking about derivatives. And to me, this is the bullshit market. If we're going back into there, that's okay. I know how to play this derivative game. I do know how to play the game that I go in there, get in early, and get out quick as soon as it runs. How long before the rest of the people realize that? Because
well
you
what
can't
I'm
have it both ways, State. You can't come up and go, we're going to have a kumbaya moment here in the
Mhm.
United States. We're
No,
going
we're
to be
not.
paying people $50 an hour while the rest of the world ain't making shit. Why the hell would the rest of the world stay where they are at? They were going to come here because they're making, and we don't have the resources to
Javier,
handle those people.
Javier, there is
Go ahead.
one thing that the US has that other countries don't have, and I know that it's always popular to shit on your own country, but EU has a big energy problem. The US doesn't have that. Just as much as the US is aging, Europe and China is even aging rapidly and more than the US is. They both have a very educated workforce. There's not a lot of innovation in China. There is a lot of innovation and creativity in Europe and the US. So you have all the components of creating innovation and attracting and creating a society where the brightest minds of the world wanna go to, which has always been the driving
Let me
force
ask you
of
a
the US.
question.
So if you look at the thing that we were saying earlier, I respectfully disagree because the problem with that stock and bonds market, it's not something to play upon. It's something where the wealth distribution, the wealth inequality has to come from. There will have to be less profits in companies
Then, then
in
the
order
game is
to in
over.
order no, the
The
game
game's
isn't over
over.
because Javier, what you fail to understand is in such a scenario, we wouldn't have a debt system anymore.
No, well, what we're having is a control system that, put it this way,
Yeah,
we
but
do not live with any choice. Let me go
hypothetically, we wouldn't
game.
be there. Hypothetically, we wouldn't be there anymore. We're talking about a great reset,
Well,
right? We're
let's go
talking about
GameStop, where they are selling more
that's a
pieces of
different subject,
paper
isn't it?
well, it's not, state, because the derivative market is what's put us into this situation. Not only with the precious metals, not only with the fiat currency, not
Yeah, but
that's given us a very strong army,
with the
but it
new
hasn't given
legislation,
us.
with the new regulations, if it's properly enforced, then that's up for debate if that happens or not, because they could pick the winners, like we just said. Those exchanges that also sell GameStop will have to become mandatory policemen by September next year. They'll have to be able to file
Good,
for these things. So they're
good.
going to be enforced, and we're going to see if that's going to happen or not. But I would argue that it is going to happen because we already see it with a default of a lot of exchanges. So GameStop, good call, good shout out. Yeah, we're going to see some action on that too in the next couple of years. I think at the
Well,
end
we're
of
gonna,
next year, we're going to see GameStop. I hope you DRS some shares, and if you haven't, buy and DRS. You know,
I wouldn't even
it's
know what that is. I do know that what has put us into
well,
this
it's something you
situation
want to. It's
is the
something you want to do.
derivatives. And
It's something you want to do.
we have to let the people know about the derivatives, because right now, when I go in to talk to a guy about stocks, they go, we've got this, which has got 500 companies. Really, dude? You went to school, you know all this crap. You can't give me 3 or 5 or 6. You got to put me in 500. And so I don't want to make my wealth that way. I've been offered my wealth that way. But if I don't understand and I can't keep up with those, because I asked that same person, if I make money, you make money? And the guy said yes. I go, if I make money, if I lose money, do you still make money? He said yes. And if we break even, he still makes money. Why
Well,
that? I want to be into what I
Javier,
choose right now, which is
Javier,
crypto.
Javier, we're also talking hypothetically a scenario where it
Sure.
looks like it's going
Yes.
where those things are different than they are now. One of those components is also that I think we'll no longer be paying income taxes. I think we only will be paying
Huge.
VAT, and I think that's going to be big too. Because why? If you tokenize everything, and
Sure.
if everything is registered, and if every goods is well able to change the price almost in real life in real time, you could have a digital price card in your supermarket, and every second the price of a product would change. They could have real life adjustments and corrections for price of everything. It's a completely different system, completely different, and they'll be able to steer it a lot clearer than they do now. So it just gets tighter, and I also hope, and I'm positive about that we'll eventually get more decentralization for what we talked about earlier. So I'm positive about it. I have faith in humanity. I see more people that want to do good, but the road to hell is paved by good intentions, right? So we have some hurdles to take, and that's why I also argue that many people that are knowledgeable in this field should go into government. In 10 years or 20 years from now, I want to talk to Dave. I just want to call up to the US. I just want to be on the EU side of things and just call to Dave and say, hey, Dave, let's smoke a cigar, eat some steak, sit in a hot tub, and hash this out and just
Well,
figure this
I
shit
don't
out
I
on an
don't know if
international
I
level.
don't know if I'm willing to do that.
Yeah, no, I
I've
understand, but
given it some thought. I mean, my grandfather ran for governor here in Louisiana, but
oh, cool.
I gave it some thought. Um, my thing is, I got two different things against that. First off, I'd have to dedicate the rest of my life. And I
Sure.
you know,
And who's going to fix the air conditioning?
I want to enjoy my life, the rest of my life, and not be one of those ones where suddenly they say one thing and gets blown out of context, and
That's
it's
fair.
just and then there goes your whole career and you've dedicated your entire life to. The other thing is that by owning a trust to operate through with crypto, yes, I can have a 501c3. If I seek office, I cannot. In the United States, you cannot be a part of a 501c3 nonprofit to help others and run for office.
Also not in Wyoming with a Speedy Bank?
Anywhere within the U.S. Well, the thing is that, okay, I think I understand where you're going with that. And with a 501c3 that I think a few of us know of, right? I don't want to say it yet because it's not in
No,
all
don't
50
go there.
states.
Don't go there. But we can go Wyoming.
Right. It's not in all 50 states yet. However, can I operate? Can I do anything
Yeah, but
with
Wyoming.
that 501c3 and keep myself separate?
Well, here's the thing.
I don't know.
Wyoming is the only U.S. state where custodians can hold are legally bound to have a one-on-one backing with the assets, and they also have to show that they own it by having the keys. So it's completely different. They call it a Speedy Bank. It's the only state that does that. So you might be able to have a workaround with that if you have a custodian with them. And yeah, I understand it, but there are solutions to that issue. And as for the first part, I think that's the biggest one. The first rung you said in regards to, your career could be over. I don't know if I want to do that. It's a big time investment. Honestly, I'm doubting it myself as well, but I'm flirting with the idea. I would really, I think, I really think that it would be beneficial for society as a whole if we have more people in government that actually know what the fuck they're talking about. And yeah, if that comes along with someone being blunt or not political correct, then fuck it, go for it.
That would
I'm
be
just going to be
probably a
blunt. I'm
first.
just going to be blunt and not politically correct, and then just blow my brains out like they did with JFK. I don't give a fuck. Let's just move this ahead one step further. Let's just do that again. Like, how many times you want to do that? It's just there's more people of us than there are of them. We have to
Well,
start somewhere.
I think that there are some of us that have hope that there will be that miracle that comes through, and some of the people I follow, some of the people that I want, I hope that there is a change for humanity's sake.
Yeah.
And now, hey, by the way, State, it's been over an hour. Don't you need to go to bed so we can talk behind your back? I'm just joking.
Yeah. You're
just
absolutely
joking.
right. I just thought
I'm
you
just
wanted to go in
joking.
deep. I just thought you wanted to go in deep, Javier. So I
No,
stayed a little
no.
bit
I was
longer.
just figuring if your ears were itching, you'd get back on here and go, damn, my ears are itching. Javier's
Well, you're
throwing
actually
me under
right.
the bus.
That timer is staring at me. That timer is definitely staring at me, and I don't see any comments from YouTube anymore either. So maybe I should go to bed. But
No, hey,
it's
Steak, I was completely
yeah, you're
joking. Like
right.
I said,
No, I'm
I
40
like.
minutes late, man.
Well, that was
I'm
me
sorry I
that was
took up a lot of
sharing.
these guys who are very, very smart time, but
I was just waiting for
you keep
Johnny.
baiting me, and I keep wanting more information.
Well, let's save some for another day.
Yeah,
It's
no, hey, I'm just joking. Like
plenty
I
of
said,
shit to touch on. I would let's let me just have a closing statement here, and then I'm actually going to go off because I have to get up in like 4 hours. So
A man's
I
got
should
to
do
know his
that.
limitations.
Exactly. So let me have a little closing statement. Like, I think it would be nice and beneficial if at some point, if you guys agree, we could also do like little segments of like, okay, what is Litecoin? What does it do?
I agree.
What's special about it? What's unique about it? Can we explain what Mimblewimble is? What is all these elements that we're also fanatical and enthusiastic about? Let's do that in regards to what people are building upon it. What could we expect? What are the rumors there? Do that maybe for Digibyte too. do that maybe for a few other projects too. I think if we would do that and you know, go into maybe like what is cloud computing, what is edge-based computing, what is AI, what is quantum computing, we can do that in layman's terms. We can hash that out, and I think it would be beneficial because it's so incredibly big in topics that we talk about, to get the information out there and get the connection out there, get the interaction with people in the chat on things, and you know, eventually we just have to grow this community, and it's volunteers because it's decentralized. So I'm thankful for the opportunity, Dave, to be here every week, and you can
Well,
only chat and imagine what
quick
they're
question
saying.
for the chat. Quick question for the chat. Give me a 5x5 if y'all can hear us now. There might have been a time I did hit my mute button on my microphone, and I mean everything is being recorded and will be
Oh, good.
uploaded to YouTube either way.
I'm being
but
censored. I'm
Give
being
me a
censored.
five. Right? Did we just share too much? I mean,
I
five by
don't
five,
know.
5x5. All right, cool. Thank you so much. Awesome. So yeah, never mind. Continue. We got a 5x5. We're good.
No good.
Right.
Like I said, it's great hearing from you, Steak. I
Yeah.
enjoyed, like I said, I enjoyed digging, and you seem to enjoy giving it back. And this is truly for more information. I am that guy that wants more information. I was starved for it when I first met Clint, and I went on his space. Nobody knew me. I didn't even know how the hell I was on this damn Twitter shit. And he allowed me to go in there. I took over his whole the whole damn spaces for I think for the first two weeks that we did, and just I had so much I wanted to say, and he was gracious as he is now to allow that, and I'm sorry because Clint is a world of information. If you get a chance, watch the show that he did before. We're very like-minded and a great
Yeah, I
deal
love to hear him
of
talk about silver. I could learn a bunch of two or three
he
more
can.
things about that. So yeah, definitely.
I'm
Yeah.
like I said, I do apologize. I hope you
Oh,
know, there was information that came out to help uh,
yeah, of course.
further grow this community.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But anyway, it's been fun, guys. I not because Javier wants me away, but I'm actually
Now,
gonna go
we're
in.
going to talk about you, State.
That's all right.
Sleep. Man's got to sleep.
Yeah, I can't, man. This shit gets me so excited, Clint. I don't know what it is. You know,
I
it
know it
just makes me
does.
tick.
Activates
It's
you.
just it makes me tick. You know, that's why I think I stayed. You know, I usually like to read all sorts of shit about the world. I did that for 25 years. I read everything. You know, philosophy, history, politics, engineering, physics, chemistry, biology. It doesn't matter. Tech. I liked everything. And then I thought, you know, I got the world a little bit figured out, but something was nagging. And then a few years ago, I go into the space, into blockchain finance, and all of a sudden, you're like, oh, now the world makes sense. Like
Yeah, it ties it all together when you start looking at the
now
money.
the world makes sense. Like,
Oh, okay.
oh, so this is, and that's why I always say, like, lawyers understand words, but they don't understand that when they agree upon something that it doesn't happen because it's not profitable, because they don't understand finance. And economists and financial people, they don't understand, you know, the words. They only understand numbers because they do what's cheapest and best and most profitable. And then all of a sudden, something is not allowed anymore. And they're like, oh, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why am I being enforced? And it's like, yeah, that's the law that you read it. And then there's the smart people that do both things, and then they tend to keep their mouth shut because they're all under NDAs.
Yeah.
And it's just it becomes difficult, you know, to understand where it's going. But I like to yeah, read boring articles on that many people think are boring on government pages, you know, laws, legislation. I read
Well, they tell
900
us what they're
pages of
going to do.
European MICA, you know.
They're telling us what they're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
no,
do.
no,
They put it all out there.
the
Yes,
first
they
thing
are.
that I was really the first time I did that, I went to LinkedIn and I looked up all the developers that were working on the European you know, ID, on the EID, And I looked up everyone on LinkedIn, by the way. Did due diligence on everyone. I read all their messages and all their likes. I went deep. I probably scanned hundreds of people for 20, 30 years of their lives, and like who's connected to who's doing this shit, and everyone's just posting it on public. They posted it on LinkedIn like, this is how the wallet will work. This is how the component's going to come, and then they put a timeline under it, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Did you just give me a fucking timeline, like months and years, and like, yeah, this is where it's going to go. Oh, we're 3 months late. Now it's not going to be June, but September. And I'm like, are you just fucking kidding me? You're just giving me the timeline. It's just, you're giving me the timeline, and they're actually, they're sticking to the timeline, but everyone is just so caught up in mass media or in media articles of crypto, or and I've been subject to that too. But if you just steer away from that and you just stare at the big picture, like what's actually going on, just read an excerpt, read a little bit of a library court case, of XRP court case. Do it. Read the XRP court case. You can find it on Twitter. You definitely can find it on Twitter. Read it, why it's important. And then suddenly shit makes sense in the future, right? And you just know, oh, I got to make a left turn or a right turn. And then you did your own research. Then you know that you get your coins off exchanges. You got to get a cold storage. You gotta own your coins. You gotta cut out the middleman. So if you haven't done that, please do it, because next year shit's gonna get fucked, and it's gonna be a pity.
Now, what would you suggest for people who hold a lot of shit coins? Right, I mean a lot of shit coins. Right?
I suggest they light up. I suggest they put up their Digibyte glasses and go sit in a hot tub.
And get some cologne just to get some of that smell out.
Because I have some true gems of shit coins.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
They're no longer Ethereum addresses. I'll say it that way.
That happens.
Well,
Guys,
thank you, Javier, Dave, and Clint. Really, I really want to pick your brain sometime in the future.
That's why we do this every week.
Definitely, yeah.
Come back and do it again.
Yeah, and maybe you guys see Johnny. Tell him I said hi. I hope he wants to share something on the things he's working on. Or otherwise,
I'd like to have him do. And he had family come in from out of town. He said he would try to join in, but
yeah, but that's fair.
Sometimes it's just like that. That's just life.
Of course, that's what life is about. Actually, it's But how many people in real life can you share this shit with? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about with to earlier today. It's like imagine the market of 2017, right? And imagine where I was. First time in my life, I got started in crypto in 2014. For the first time in my life, I hit 7 figures in US dollars, and in 2017. Now imagine my position, right? Here's the blind cookie boy. I took every dollar I earned out of that job and I put it into crypto. So I didn't work for a dollar.
Expensive cookies.
All of it. And imagine me going to my parents and they were involved in insurance and property and casualty and all of this kind of stuff. And imagine me going to them and saying, "Now look, let me borrow your account number and your routing number and be expecting a little deposit." My parents would have had the entire alphabet soup here at my house, right? I mean, the entire alphabet soup. I'm talking the light bulb with the cord and knock it, and it's going back and forth, back and forth. Where were you on October 28th, 2019? It's like y'all don't understand what I had to live through when I was younger. And then if I were to move any kind of money like that, imagine what I would have had to go through. So, my option there was to move to Mexico and then to take profit, because I would have had to forfeit my Social Security disability as well as my Medicare. And I figured out how to do that during the bear market of 2018, 19. And I formed a trust. So that way now I use the EIN number of the trust, not the Social Security number. So that's how I operate. However, after capital gains taxes, I had no idea I was looking at 37% capital gains under a trust. So my next thing I'm working on is, do I form a C Corp or an S Corp to pay 21% in capital gains through a S or a C Corp versus going through the trust? Because
Well, that's not the first thing you're going to do. You're going to fix that air conditioning first.
Because it's hot.
Dude, look, give me some more profit, XRP. Come on.
Right? Come on, keep going.
Come on, XLM. I mean, shit. I need
Throw those dice. Throw the bones.
right. It's like
Throw them bones.
like I will take 21,000 off froth off the top to have to pay for 2 air conditioner units inside and outside because it's rental property, right? And it's like the date on the damn thing says
Yeah, but Dave,
2000.
you're so hot. Dave, you're so hot. You need those air conditionings, man. You need
Dude,
those
I got
units.
23 years out of the last ones, and that wasn't even what I didn't take.
But
I didn't.
here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though.
What?
What do you live life for? Like at the end of the day, right? You got to spend the money in order to live, and that's good for the economy too. See that
Hey,
you're giving a little bit
Clint.
back to the economy.
Hey, Clint, what these guys will do so they don't smell. I mean, really. They put air conditioning.
I know,
And
right?
I remember being at your place, going out back to that cold water, I don't know.
Overhead shot.
I love it. I love it. Looking at the big cornfields, that was incredible. Just wanted to share that.
Keeps you alive.
Sounds amazing.
It is.
Good
It
stuff.
is.
No,
Thanks,
that's it.
everyone.
Oh yeah, Steak man, good having you. We love having you here. We'll see you
Hey,
next week. Or we'll
Thank
talk
you,
to
Steak. I enjoyed
Not see you.
enjoyed it.
Thanks, Clint, Javier, Dave.
Get
Bye
some
bye.
sleep, man.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Damn
All right,
that
now I'm gonna
steak.
break it
Damn
down.
that damn steak. No, I enjoy going at it with them, and I obviously enjoys going. I just, like I said, I'm sorry that if I took any time away from you, Clint, because you've got so much information,
It
and
doesn't
you,
matter.
Dave, y'all both.
I'm talking all the time.
I figured y'all would butt in,
I'm all
you
right.
know, and
I'm good to shut up now and then. I need to. I'm always talking.
well, I hope those questions were important, digging deeper a little bit, and
Yeah, that's
and
it. So you've got, there's an optimistic viewpoint, and there's a pessimistic viewpoint, is what it comes down to. We've got to transition the system. There's no doubt about that. We got to do something different. It's not going to work. I mean, we've laid out the numbers, the statistics, and it doesn't add up. I mean, it's just unsustainable at this point. So it's a matter of, you got one extreme where, hey, I want everything to work out. Everything's going to be great. It's a tool to do that, though. The technology that is in this digital infrastructure is very transparent. You can make it to where, hey, everything's accounted for. There's a true value to something instead of a manipulated value like we've got now for things. I mean, that's a great world to live in. If we know, like you've always said, Javier, hey, man, if these rules are defined, I'm going to win, and we have that opportunity with this crypto space. Everything can be tokenized. Everything can have a real price, only where it comes from, the cost, everything. And then you've got the other side. It can be a tremendous system of control, to where it can be the worst thing ever that could ever happen to humanity.
And for you that have kids, you want to leave it better than we left it. Me, that I don't have, but I do have a lot of nephews, and I do have a lot of family, and so I want to leave it a lot better. And that's where I think Steak, now I hate talking when he's not here, but I think that's why Steak gets into these kumbaya moments, and I'm like, no, dude, it hasn't worked for how long for us? I will
say this. I disagree on his stance with Veritasium. I will say that out loud because, where Veritasium doesn't have control within the EU. I think that, however, with different litigation and legislation that is coming, that is being written, that is being done right now, like we have tried to bring for everyone here, is that if you go back and listen to what was presented, a lot has been told. I mean, they're saying what they are doing within this legislation, and now with the news today, it's like, I see the Veritasium, right? I do. And my thing is, though, I understand. Okay, the token itself does not have value, supposedly.
as of right now.
However, okay, if we're going to go back and we're going to look at Library and Dragon Chain and these others that have been, I mean, what was wrong with Ken? I mean, really, Ken. Okay, I mean, really?
Well,
So if we're going to go back and look at that, okay, what was wrong with Veritasium?
Right.
I don't
If
think the damn
XRP gets a
thing.
pass, why doesn't everything else get
fixed,
passed?
it fixed the Jamaican.
let's take a
stock
path.
exchange.
And let me go. I follow Reggie, and I have, like I said, I have to watch things 3, 4, 5 times to even begin to understand y'all people with this high vocabulary. But understanding this, let me be real. I mean, I talked to him because I've heard him say, and I went back and listened. And at one point, he goes, "This is," and I believe he said this is bigger than Bitcoin. But I asked him, and the good thing I like about Reggie is that he's open enough to sit down, and as long as you're polite, he will answer any of your questions, whichever direction it goes. And I did ask him, and I questioned him on that. I go, "Did you say that it would be equal or bigger or more important than Bitcoin? Vertasium would be," and he goes, "It would." And so the technology is what they're talking about, not the coin.
Well,
The coin is a whole separate.
Here's
Go
my
ahead.
thought. Here's my thought, right? So I know for a fact that the very token can be used as a discount in order to use the software of the Vader. Well, what happens if everything is being re-looked at because the SEC is corrupt as hell? Now it's in the hands of the CFTC. Okay, well, what happens now, right? Like when it's no longer just a use case for or a discount for the use of the Vader, okay, to analyze a company, a blockchain, whatever it may be, particularly the entire blockchain space. So with that in mind, could the government actually go to Reggie and say, look, we have your 90 million tokens or whatever it is, and just say, look, we want to now use the Vader in order to determine whether it's a security, commodity, currency, what the hell it is, a scam, pyramid scheme, whatever,
Yeah.
and to get an actual reading from the Vader, because it was working. It worked.
It
well.
is.
And here's, I mean, Veritasium actually fixed the problem of fraud within
Yeah.
the Jamaican Stock Exchange. It was the SEC playing games, going behind the fucking scenes and going and saying, oh, no, don't do this and don't do that, and changing shit.
And more importantly, Dave, it eliminated the dealing with lawyers because it was in the contract. You know what? This is what I do. I'm not as smart and as technical as most people here, but I do know one thing, and I've always been a good judge of integrity. This man had called out the Goldman Sachs, and if I don't get this right, my brain doesn't work like that. But there were the other banks that he had called out in the future. So the man was smart enough. Lehman Brothers. So he was smart enough to understand Bitcoin. He didn't have to go through all this crap. He didn't have to drag his name, as important as it is to him, through the mud. He didn't have to do any of this such thing. And so I see where he was teaching. The reason I get so nervous when I talk to him is he goes to schools. He goes to his kids' schools. He's teaching. He's helping not only here in the United States. I just saw him. I think he was in Nigeria and helping other kids over there. That's not the man that's trying to scam you. And so the integrity is what I fell for. And maybe old school, whatever. I'm still there. Whether I do well or not with it, it will not change my life because I'm leveraged. I've actually learned through listening to him to leverage myself, and I've learned the risk to reward in my coins. And so I realize where I'm at, and I will play that game. But kudos to Reggie for being that guy, because there's very few people that'll look you in the eye, shake your hand, and you know you've got to deal with that person.
Well,
Maybe because he's old school.
I still hold one or two Veritasium.
Myself.
But you know, my thing is it's not my coin is the ultimate coin. It's nothing like that. It's not just Bitcoin. It's not just Litecoin. It's not just Digibyte or XRP or XLM or HBAR or Quant. It's not my coin is the ultimate coin. This is a fucking network.
Yep.
And we're trying to bring that to y'all to show y'all what's coming up in the short term with litigation and legislation, and hopefully maybe earn your ear and earn your subscription.
No, we're trying to throw a bone out there. It's everybody's responsibility to do their own homework. You know what? What works for Dave and what works for Clint right now not necessarily works for me. Clint's got kids. It's a whole different dynamic. Dave's got broken air conditioning, different dynamics. So understanding that we're not saying this at this time, we may have bought early. We may be trying to cost average our coins. It's something for you to take a look at and for you to decide. If you're not, you're just a gambler. You don't go into Las Vegas and go, hey, pit boss, I went to the roulette table and I bet on red and I bet on 36 and I lost. I want my money. There is no money back. This is the Wild West. You need to know where you're at. And if you don't, then you're in the save up, get food, get silk, play a safer bet.
And no one
That's
ever
how I
got hurt
started.
taking profit. No one got hurt taking profit. Don't watch the numbers go up to 7 figures on your damn cell phone and not improve the quality of your life.
Right.
Do something.
Because an air
Do
conditioner
something
will
with it.
break at some point, and you better be prepared for that.
Well said, Clint. You know how to hit it on the head. Your shows are incredible every day. I look forward to hearing your rants.
And
Because
hats off to you, Clint, and to St. Jerome. I listened to that
very,
video.
very,
That was
very
a
good.
very good video. I
I
enjoyed
enjoyed it. I'll
thoroughly.
go back and listen to it again
No, I appreciate it. It was
tonight when I walk the dog.
little bit of a different facet of me. You know, I want to get,
Sure.
it's not what I talk about on my stuff, but you know, that's, you know, hey, I'll talk about anything, you know, and so I like to have that discussion with him. So no, it was a good show.
Good kudos.
We've now hit the 2-hour mark. Any closing arguments or closing statements that y'all would like to give?
Hey, basically what it comes down to is the world is changing, the economic system is changing, everything that we, you know, have the old system and how it's been played, how it's been done. They're going to try and pull that into the new system. Can they do it? Don't know, but you've got an opportunity to prevent that from happening and front run it and get yourself out of the way. You know, a wise man sees trouble and gets out of the way. So if you know that money's changing and you know they're going to soak up trillions of dollars and they're going to use crypto digital assets to do that, you might want to find those digital assets that are going to be the big sponge, you know, because that's going to put you far ahead of many people, because most people are going to be asleep and they're going to get steamrolled. You've got an opportunity now to not get steamrolled and to get out of the way and to set yourself up, your family up in a different way. And that's really what it is. It's education. Teach yourself how to take control of these coins, what ones have value and why they have value. They've been around for a long time. Take a look at them. I mean, we've talked about them. I talk about them all the time, you know, and Javier's got one up there in his corner. I mean, these are good coins. Take a look at them, do your own research. But I mean, it's coming. Be prepared. You know, you got no excuses. We're telling you, we're trying to help. You got questions? Get in the chat, ask them.
Yes. It says, I don't have anything smart to say. Steak, you suck. No, I'm just joking. I love you, brother. I enjoy arguing. I enjoy going deep with you. It's a whole different perspective that I'm not used to. So, like I said, guys, I hope there's some important information. There'll be times that I don't speak where they're talking way over my head. But this time, I was waiting for steak today. I was actually had shit written down, even though I couldn't read it. But Clint, I enjoy, like I said, anytime being around you. Dave, we talk daily, and I'm so glad that some of this information, I think maybe even in the future for for some of the posterity in the future, it may be relevant if it actually turns our way, or if it goes another way and go, look at these idiots. But you
Hey,
know what? We're
we're in the
trying our
arena.
best.
We're in the arena.
Yes.
You know, it's more
Thank
than a
you.
lot of people can say. It's just get out there and try and help.
And
Yes, sir.
in closing, I would like to thank everyone for tuning in. I would like to thank everyone for showing up today. And, you know, right now, history is being written, laws are being created. We're trying to bring that to you, so maybe give you a little insight on what we see coming about and what's happening. So with that, I hope y'all subscribe to this channel. Go back, listen to previous things that we have mentioned here. And we're giving you the information. We're giving you the links to go to within the description to find some of these different things that we're presenting. This isn't fluff. So anyway,
Not financial advice. It's your responsibility to do your due diligence and find out what is good, what is not good, and the best way to do is ask the community and dig deeper.
And we'll all hash it out together.
exactly. The only dumb question is the one that is not asked. So with that, y'all go make it a day. Love you all. Later.